for 33 hours, I was praying that if this had to happen here, that it wouldn't be one of us. That somebody drove from another state, somebody came from another country. Sadly, that prayer was not answered the way I hoped for.
Homeboy said, please, God, Father God, don't let it be one of us. Anybody else will do, preferably an immigrant. Yo. And unfortunately for him, that young man, Tyler, is homegrown, okay? He is one of y'all. He's homegrown. And his parents have been allowing him to utilize his Second Amendment right for quite some time, since he was a wee little lad.
He stood at a press conference 2 days ago, right after Charlie Kirk was killed, and talked about the motive before they had a suspect. That is so egregious. He talked about the great American experiment and that this was a political assassination, inferring, assuming, implying that it was a leftist, liberal Democrat trying to affect political narrative. So too the entire right-wing echo chamber, so too all the right-wing leaders all said that. They're all wrong. Completely wrong. Well, will you hear that from any of them? Will any of them apologize for inciting and inflaming the public with a false narrative? No, you will not.
Family, the Utah governor is now facing a lot of backlash after he mentioned publicly that he hoped the murderer of Charlie Kirk was not one of them. He said that he prayed for 33 hours to just ask God that this person could have been a person who drove from another state to Utah, or an immigrant, not one of them. And that just spoke a lot about him. Many people have now taken to their online platforms to react to the same, both white and black Americans talking against whatever he said in that statement. So family, I want you to watch this video all the way to the end for you to get pure, unfiltered reactions of Americans in regards to his statement. Once the video is done, we will get back and do a critical analysis about the same. Let's watch this video together, family.
Did Spencer Cox, the governor of Utah, just defuse the largest bomb in modern history here in the United States? In my opinion, yes, he did. Since Charlie Kirk's unaliving, we have all been absolutely glued to the news, to the commentaries, to the videos. We've seen a lot of people speak, a lot of people chime in. I didn't even know the governor of Utah before this week. Spencer Cox, what a hell of a guy this one is, huh? There has never been the division and the anger and the frustration in our country in my lifetime as there has been over the this last week. And it's been a real question, is this the tipping point? Which direction are we going to go? And I think Spencer Cox just single-handedly stopped a bomb from going off, basically. He was put in the spotlight for the entire world to see over the last handful of days. And I guess the only ways I would describe his speech is sincere and honest, on point, and inspirational. I just watched his speech this morning after they caught the guy who unalived Charlie Kirk, and listening to Spencer Cox talk about this, I think he might have just turned us around, and I hope so. I really hope that is the case, and I hope that everyone else that watched him talk feels the same way that I do, because we don't need more violence. I know you feel it, but we don't need more violence. It's not gonna, in the end, it's not gonna be the answer. So. Anyways, I say kudos to Utah, and kudos, the state of Utah and the governor of Utah. You couldn't have handled a situation better than what you just did. One of the most tragic that we've had in our lifetime. And the state of Utah, under Spencer Cox, you did magnificent. So I say thank you.
The governor of Utah wanted Charlie Kirk's shooter to be anything but white. He got up there and was like, and I was praying that if this had to happen here, it wouldn't be one of us. It'd be someone from out of state or out of the country. Huh? What do you mean by that? it seems like you wished and hoped and prayed that it was an immigrant so then you guys could continue your agenda. Or maybe a black person so then you guys could just continue the racism. And if not that, and like, you know, you guys knew it was a white person, you were at least hoping that that person wasn't aligned anywhere near being a Republican. But I do really think it's about racism when it comes down to it. Because what do you mean a different country? Like the different state, okay, but like, oh, I was praying that the person would have come from a different country. Why? So you can continue an agenda of racism against whatever minority it would have been from a different country that did whatever it was. You could put the blame on someone else from a different country and then use that rhetoric to create more racism, or at least have more racist conversations and tie things to minorities in order to basically demonize them, as that's been done for hundreds of years. You know what I mean? Like, that's what it really seems like. He got up there, was kind of upset that it wasn't an immigrant. It wasn't a black person. It wasn't a minority. It wasn't a Democrat. Like, that's what it looks like to me.
So once again, the governor of Utah got up in front of those microphones and sounded crazy. This man literally said, these last couple nights, I've been praying that this person don't look like who we look like. Because it can't be us. It's got to be somebody from another state, from another country. I prayed, and unfortunately, my prayer did not get answered. You prayed to God that it wasn't somebody white. That don't sound crazy to you? That don't sound crazy to you? I was listening to one of my favorite podcasts today. Here's the thing. And Angel said something that made so much sense. She said, they have to create an enemy they can see. And they can't see themselves as the true enemy that they are. It never occurred to him that the shooter would be a white male, considering it wasn't nothing but white folks on that goddamn campus. And the majority of Utah is white. You thought somebody snuck in from another state, another country, undetected by all of the whites, and got out undetected by none of the whites. Whenever I hear there was a shooting today, I have a thought in my mind of who it is. Very rarely am I wrong. But the governor of Utah prayed to the God that he knows, please God, don't let it be somebody white and from Utah, because we're not like that. Are you new to America? I want him to stop getting in front of the microphones. I want him to stop talking. He's unfit for leadership. He's unfit for the job that he has.
I just finished watching a press conference by the governor of Utah. And if you haven't seen it, then you definitely need to go back and watch it. I can't believe the words that came out of this man's mouth. I can, but I can't. He actually said that he prayed that it was not one of them, that he hoped that it was somebody from another country or from another state. He actually said that. That came out of his mouth because he's saying that it would have made it a lot easier, because the type of things that happened to Charlie, those things don't happen in Utah, is what he's saying. But I also noticed too that they keep saying that this is political violence. But as far as I know, and from what I've heard about the guy who took out Charlie Kirk, he was actually a number 47 supporter. He was not from the left. He was actually from the right. He was actually one of them. So I don't understand why they keep trying to make this political. Now, as far as I heard, the guy that did this to Charlie, he didn't like him, is all that I heard them say. It had nothing to do with politics. I did not hear him mention politics, but he did not like Charlie.
No, but for real, I need Christians to explain to me what the governor of Utah meant when he said, I was praying to God that it was not one of us. Look, I grew up in a Pentecostal church. My grandfather was a bishop. My brother's a preacher. My other grandfather's a preacher. I got cousins, preachers. I've heard a lot of sermons in my life. I've heard a lot of prayers. I was in church every day from 0 to 21. I love my church family. I don't go to church anymore, but I love my church family. I love my people. Pentecostal Church of God in Christ. I've never heard a person say what that governor of Utah said. I prayed to God that it was not one of us. I prayed that it was someone from a different state who had driven into our state, or someone from a different country. What? So this is for Christians. People who call themselves Christian. What did that man mean by that? Was he hoping that it was a non-white person? Because that's how I heard it. I heard it as being a non-white person first, and then a non-American second, presumably someone from a different country, which is so odd coming from Mormon territory, because Mormons go into other countries, but South American and Central American countries that are Latino people, and work to convert them to Mormonism. What did he mean by that? That was such an odd statement. And look, I don't know that governor, and I saw he was emotional up there. And it seems like he was most emotional because it was a white guy that killed that other guy. So somebody help me understand that. Some Christians out there, help me understand that.
So the governor of Utah got on a podium and said that he didn't think that the unaliver of Charlie Kirk was one of himself. I'm sorry, but do they forget that we can hear them? like you do know you're on a podium with the microphone in a room full of cameras, and then once he realized what he said, he's like, "Oh, somebody from the foreign," and bitch, let's miss the bullshit, bitch. You wanted to say you didn't think the person would have been white. You thought the person would have been black, bitch.
Now, I don't know if y'all caught that press conference that the governor of Utah did earlier today, but listen, homeboy said for 30-something hours, I was praying that the person who committed this crime was not from here. I was praying he was not one of us. He said, I was praying he drove in from another state. Hell, I was hoping he came from another country. Yo, homeboy said, please, God, Father God, don't let it be one of us. Anybody else will do, preferably an immigrant. Yo. And unfortunately for him, that young man, Tyler, is homegrown, okay? He is one of y'all. He's homegrown. And his parents have been allowing him to utilize his Second Amendment right for quite some time, since he was a wee little lad. So sorry to that man. Sorry to that governor. He is indeed one of y'all in every way you could imagine.
I swear to God, all my time, I've never seen a racist person like the governor of Utah. I want to play a video. This guy just said he was hoping and he was praying to God that the person who took out Charlie be someone of not theirs, someone from another country, someone of a different religion. And this is a governor. Just watch it. I'm not going to comment. Just watch this video. It's going to play right now.
You know, this bad stuff happens. And for 33 hours, I was praying that if this had to happen here, that it wouldn't be one of us. That somebody drove from another state, somebody came from another country, sadly, that prayer was not answered the way I hoped for. Just because I thought it would make it easier on us if we could just say, hey, we don't do that here. And indeed, Utah is a special place. We lead the nation in charitable giving. We lead the nation in service every year. But it did happen here.
So this is the country where people would live, the greatest country on planet Earth. Wow. This guy needs to resign like yesterday. He needs to get off. Like, he shouldn't be the governor of Utah.
Here's the truth we all know. This country is not going to find internal peace or unity until the right wing learns to have some accountability for their words. The Utah governor should be resigning or abjectly apologizing today. That man did something incompetent, grotesque, disgusting, a complete violation of the public trust, and no one even notices. He stood at a press conference 2 days ago, right after Charlie Kirk was killed, and talked about the motive before they had a suspect. That is so egregious. He talked about the great American experiment and that this was a political assassination, inferring, assuming, implying that it was a leftist, liberal Democrat trying to affect political narrative. So too the entire right-wing echo chamber, so too all the right-wing leaders all said that. They're all wrong. Completely wrong. But will you hear that from any of them? Will any of them apologize for inciting and inflaming the public with a false narrative? No, you will not. Nor will you hear them say this: you were right, liberals, leftists, Democrats. It's the guns. By which I mean gun culture. I am not talking about hunting. I'm not talking about teaching your children about safe use of guns in the woods. I am talking about gun culture where adolescent boys are bathed in assault rifles and photographed with them and learn to use guns as a mode of expression and self-empowerment. I am talking about political leaders who wear assault rifles on their lapels as a symbol. That's the problem. 1,500 mass shootings in the last 25 years. That's the problem. This is another case of the same problem. But until Republicans admit that they're wrong when they talk without facts, and then admit who is right about the facts, we got ourselves a problem.
The governor of Utah said he was praying that it wasn't one of their own, that he was praying that it was someone from another country or that drove from another state. What I hear is you were hoping they were a minority, you were hoping they were Muslim, you were hoping they were black, you were hoping that you could blame it on someone else to more fuel your war. He said he prayed to God for 33 hours straight. And he said God did not answer his prayers. That has to be the most wildest statement I could possibly think of. Because on the flip side of that, because y'all don't like to admit that it's one of y'all, when it is one of y'all, we have to pray that it wasn't one of us. That you can't blame it on the religion. That you can't blame it on the skin color. That's so crazy to me. Then he said God did not answer his prayers. So I guess it's time for everybody to start looking in the mirror, right?
To the Utah governor, why do you need it to be someone else? I mean, we know why, but I just wanted to hear it from you. I hope a reporter follows up on that you were hoping that was a foreigner or someone that wasn't a part of your community and it wasn't one of you guys. I'm very curious at how we're going to approach that line of questioning. Now, you did mention a death penalty. My question is, are you still about the life?
Family, this statement by the Utah governor has sparked a lot of reactions online. As you've seen from the video, many people are wondering, first, what kind of prayer is that? You know, it is very, very shameful that a leader of such, caliber, like a governor, uttering such a statement publicly, saying that he prayed for 33 hours, just asking God that the murderer should not be somebody, of their own. And you'd wonder, what type of prayer is that? When we look at morality and spirituality, nobody prays, against other people, for the favor of their people. That prayer could not change anything. in regards to the murderer, because the action had already happened. You'd wonder what is the motive of the prayer. You'd wonder the motive of the statement. That statement can tell you all that he was disappointed that the person who did whatever was done was not black. He was disappointed that the person who did it was not an immigrant. He was disappointed that the person who did it was from his own state. His prayer did not work. And I'm asking myself, what was he saying the whole 33 hours? Or is just a statement? Is that just a statement, or it's something that actually happened? Because I wonder what you tell God for 33 hours in a prayer which is not in any way moral. It is so wrong that such a thing is happening in 2025. A whole leader, a whole governor standing in front of a presser and telling people, something like that. I believe something like that can bring division. You're hoping that a certain group of people were the perpetrators. You're linking crime with a certain group of people. That is what the governor insinuated, in that speech. We've seen some people coming up and saying that was so wrong, and the governor should actually ask for forgiveness from people. The governor should resign if he cannot ask for forgiveness, because that was very, very wrong. How can you come up and just speak something of that magnitude, to the citizens of your state? That is so wrong. To me, I feel like that is racist. You want, since you're in a position of power, you want to label certain groups of people, with crime. You're even going to an extent telling people that you prayed for 33 hours to ensure that this is what happens. Unfortunately, that wasn't the case. We saw the other day Tyler Robinson being arrested after his dad called the police on him, turned him in, and you notice he roots from Washington, Utah, a member of the very same state, a white person to be specific. He said that he prayed that the person was not their own. He is your own. He is from your own state, and whatever you said in that statement was very, very wrong as a governor of a whole state. Many times I tell people, as a leader, you should be a symbol of unity. You should be somebody who brings people together. Your ideologies should be those of love, those of ensuring that there is peaceful coexistence in your state or country or wherever you're responsible in. As a leader, you must ensure that people are together. You must ensure that you foster for love. The Utah governor implied that a leftist Democrat could be the murderer of Charlie Kirk, terming the assassination political. He mentioned of a lefty and them being a Democrat. That alone can tell you, the intentions of this governor was not right. That is something that people should not be doing in this day and time as a leader. That has made many black folks be pissed. Imagine if they got another person in the scene of crime. They could easily connect this murder to that person because he or she is an immigrant or a black person or a person of a different race. That is what is implied. How would the prayer change anything during the night? How would the prayer, help them get an immigrant, get somebody from outside of Utah as a state? That prayer does not make any sense morally, spiritually, and in any other form, even logically. How does that prayer make sense? How does him telling people that he thought it was an immigrant or somebody outside of the Utah state, how does that make sense even logically? The message he was trying to bring up right there was a message of division. And family, that is unacceptable. In 2025, the Utah governor was trying to divide people by trying to insinuate that a certain group of people, it would be better if a certain group of people were the ones who did that atrocious act. They wanted it to be a certain group of people. They wanted to label it and take advantage of the same, but it didn't work. This is God's doing. This is just another, way that God has spoken to Americans to show us that there are certain groups of people who are still targeted in America today. Unfortunately for him, it was Tyler Robinson, one of them, homegrown, he's from Utah, Washington, Utah. Family, this has sparked a lot of reactions online, and many people are asking a lot of questions. One of the questions being, they say that the person responsible will serve death sentence now that they've noticed he's a Utah citizen, he's a white young man, 22-year-old. What will they do next? Will they still push the agenda, of death as a sentence? Or they'll say, this is one of our own, we want to change the narrative. We can just give him a jail term or a punishment for the same. What will happen? Because I know very, very well that if they found that person to be an immigrant like he was praying for, to be somebody from outside of the Utah state, being a black person, that person could have passed through a lot. That sentence would have come immediately. And the idea that is being pushed by the Utah governor is only that. The most wild statement I have ever seen on the internet in 2025 from a person who's a leader. This is one of the craziest prayers in history. How can you take 33 hours to pray for division, to pray for targeting a certain group of people? It even does not make any sense. He's saying that crime is associated with color, with immigrants, with a certain group of people. That statement was wild, it was wrong, it was unacceptable. I really wish that the governor, takes his time to put up a statement the very same way he went publicly and address that. I really hope he can apologize to the people of Utah and Americans at large, because that is unacceptable, and it is actually very, very wrong for him to do that in 2025. Family, let me know in the comment section down below what you think about the statement by the Utah governor, and I'd really, really appreciate. I'd also appreciate if you all like the video so that it can be recommended to other YouTube users. Lastly, I'd ask you in a special way to take your time to subscribe to the channel. We are currently on the road to 50,000 subscribers, family. Take your time, subscribe, and I'd really appreciate. Thank you, family. See you in the next video. Goodbye for now.